Hi, Scott.
Hey, Annie.
What's your experience with Romania and SoftVision until this moment?
I'll tell you, I have really enjoyed everybody I've met. I mean, we got to go out a little bit last night. We're going to see some more tonight. But so far, I can tell you that I would absolutely, in a heartbeat, come back. I've had a great time. And I'll tell you, you guys, SoftVision has put on an absolutely fabulous event. I do a lot of these things, and this has gone off without a hitch. There has not been one issue. So, very professional job. The folks who attended were wonderful. They're engaged. They ask great questions. And I mean, I hope that they've learned a lot, but they've certainly laughed. So I think we're all having a good time. So I've had a very pleasant experience. I'm very happy.
Cool. What do you think about the local and Romanian testing community that you've seen yesterday, here, and also today?
If the group that I saw is representative, I think it's a really excellent community. And you know, again, like I say, I get to see communities all over the world, and I'm always surprised when not anymore. I used to be surprised, now I'm just pleased. When I go someplace new where the world doesn't think of that area as a technology center, and I find that you know, the testers and the developers, they're on par with all the places in the world that folks think of as technology centers, and the same here. The folks that I've seen are every bit as good as all the places that folks think of first, and I think that says a lot about both technology and about the area and the people, and that technology is a great equalizer, right? It doesn't really matter whether your country is rich or poor. If you know technology, you can be successful. And I think that's a really great thing. I mean, that's kind of a social commentary, but the people have been great, and they've been great testers, and I've been really, really impressed with their skill and knowledge.
Have you noticed any cultural specific thing for Eastern Europe, for example?
Maybe a little bit. I find that, well, the group that we have here is, the age is a little bit younger than I see in some places. And so I can't tell if it's an age or a culture, but very eager to learn. Very eager to learn, and I love that because there's so much to learn. I mean, I've been doing this a long time, and I still learn every day. And I learn from you know, projects, and I learn from people, and I learn when I teach. And these folks are they're fabulous. They want to learn.
Speaking about learning every day, do you have any, let's say, daily things that you do in order to learn, maybe some magazines that you read, you know, I'm sure.
What would you recommend
Well,
these guys eager to learn?
So, to be honest, and it's going to sound really strange, because in most industries, if I said read blogs, they would say, oh, that's just people's opinion. But here's the thing, in what I call it tester land, right? There is no user's manual. There's no standard. There is no, you can't go get a college degree in being a software tester. So, you know, all the magazines and stuff, they're very good. But here's the thing, you can get the same information off those same authors' blogs sooner. And the neat thing about a blog is you can ask somebody a question. And so you gotta be a little bit careful, because you wanna learn from them. You want to learn from what people write, because what they write is what they're learning more or less real time on projects. But you don't necessarily want to say, oh, so-and-so did this on that project, so that must be the answer. You got to be a tester with the information you read and say, how did they think about that, and how could I apply it? So I find things like blogs and forums, yes, conferences, magazines, that's good too. But you know, the thing that I personally do to help me learn more than anything else is teach. Write and teach, but I think of my writing as teaching. Basically because I couldn't write like a story to save my life. So I'm writing things to help people learn. And I found that no matter how well you do something, trying to explain it to somebody else makes you think about it so much more deeply that you learn a lot. So then honestly, the number one thing I would say for anybody is start trying to teach others the thing that you're really good at, and what you'll find is you get even better. And you find 3 other things that you want to learn more about, and it will build on itself, and you'll end up learning even more.
We talked yesterday. Yesterday it was a great event, a great conference, and we talked about this with the guys. And well, to be honest, I had a look on the feedback they gave to us, and I would say that most of them, the majority of them, said, "Well, Scott is a great presenter. We like very much the information. He has such a great way to interact with us, you know." What would be your secrets?
I blame it all on my dad.
Just the ones that can be made public.
No, I blame it on my dad. Actually, both my parents. They both went to school to become teachers. Now, Mom didn't become a full-time teacher. She substitute taught and whatnot. Dad was a full-time teacher until he retired a couple years ago. And I learned Dad maybe not more than anything else, but the thing that I apply today is he taught me how to explain things to people using common language that they understand. So instead of trying to be all technical and explain the inner details of stuff, to relate things, to use analogy. So, for example, here's one that I've used a lot through my performance testing career is whenever you're trying to look at the performance of a site, you got to always do it twice, because there's a whole bunch of technology that the first time you use it, like Java has to compile, and some people are like, Java compile, what's it? And I tell them this, it's just like when you go to start your car on a cold morning. You don't just hop in and drive. You go out, you turn it on, you let it warm up so that it runs smoothly. And is it exactly the same? No. Is it close enough for people to understand the idea of, oh, I have to let it warm up because the first time is going to be different? Yes. And is that good enough to get started? Yes. And that is the most, yes, I'm hyper, I'm dynamic, I act crazy. If you look at pictures, people take stills and I'm moving all over the place. And okay, that's just kind of fun. But the important part is you have to relate to something that people already understand. That's really the key. That all comes from Dad.
You are a very passionate person. Yesterday we had all the song, the hall was full of passionate people, right? Well, there was a message this conference. Okay, so in the end, I said, okay, what will be your next step? I cannot help myself to ask this question.
So, well, if I take it literally, I go home, I do laundry, I go to Dawn's brother's wedding, and then I go get to do some more presentations and a tutorial in Sydney. Now, that's actually more specifically what you're driving at is, I have, a lot of the material that I presented here was, I did some rebranding, so I've got some new words and some new ways to present, and I'm pretty happy with it. And going through tutorials today, I have a half-day tutorial in Sydney, and I've completely, just since this morning, changed how I want to present that based on what I've seen today. And talking about learning every day, I didn't present this to learn from it. I was trying to teach it, but I just can't help learning and saying, how can I do it better next time? Because I'm very passionate. And I've said it a whole bunch of times. I don't know why this week I've said it so often, but I just keep saying, you know, find something you love and find a way to make a living at it. And that's somehow what I did. I didn't know that. I didn't know what performance testing was, but I started doing it and I loved it. And I keep wanting to learn more about it. And I get excited when somebody else wants to learn about it. And I think it's even cooler when they want to ask me about it. It's just fun. And as long as I'm having fun, I'm going to keep learning. So my next step is I want to take everything I learned here and make the learning experience for other people that much better. And I really hope that folks here do interact with me, you know, email or other conferences and whatnot. I want to know. I want to know when they went back to their company, if they tried to apply stuff, what challenges they had, and because, you know, every situation's different. I only have the experiences that I have, and so if I'm going to run around the world and teach people, I really want them to tell me how it goes. So I guess my 2 next steps are keep improving my message and hopefully getting feedback from others so that we as a community can improve our message.
So what did you find different at this conference next 2012 than other conferences that you have been attending?
So a lot of conferences are frankly very shallow and broad. Now there's nothing wrong with that, but for a guy who goes to a lot of conferences, frankly I get kind of tired of hearing or saying the same thing over and over and over again year after year after year. You know what? There's nothing shallow here. Every question that somebody asked me was rich, and the conversations were deep and passionate, and you don't get that everywhere. And whether that's the people, whether that's the age group, whether that's who decided to, right, that I don't know. But what I know is I don't get that everywhere, and it was good.
Okay, so in the end, do you have a final message for all of us, or maybe you could suggest us, okay, what should be our next step?
I'll tell you, I don't know what your plans are, but I would absolutely recommend that you continue this format with folks that have information and training that's relevant to your community. Keep this community together. Whatever the right way is to do that here, that part I don't know, but here's what I do know is the closest thing to a profession that we have as testers is community. And I think community is the only way that we learn and that we grow. And what I saw over the last day and a half is a very rich community that has a lot to offer one another. And if you guys can be a part of making that community continue and grow, give it a home, I think that's a fabulous addition, not just locally, but just to the global testing community as a whole, because that's worldwide, that's what we've got. We've got community, we've got each other. And so I think this is a great start. Don't let it die. Okay. How's that? That's my challenge to you. Don't let it die.
Thank you very much, Scott.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure.